Hello, Smonia, Namaste, Tanya, Gromenko. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today we are going to discuss a very important topic, and I think that the topic that a lot of people actually fear, which is failing to close the deal. And I'm going to share with you my experience of failing to close deals with my clients and 4 things that I have learned through this experience. Really 4 invaluable things, also very crucial to close more deals as a result. So I hope that you are very excited about today's video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also like this video. Thank you guys, and let's get started. Okay, actually guys, a lot of people are afraid of failure, are afraid of mistakes, and are afraid of failing to close deals and are afraid of rejections. This is normal, but I want to tell you and assure you that there is no successful entrepreneur, there is no successful business owner, there is no successful virtual assistant who never failed. And in fact, the more times you fail, the better, because all these times and all these failures, actually, I would say challenges, they provide you the opportunity to learn something really, really important and something really valuable. Another thing that I want to convey to you is that actually, guys, I have failed more times than I actually succeeded. What I mean is that I have failed to close the deals with my clients more time than I actually succeeded to close the deals. And this is completely normal, because as a business owner, as a virtual assistant, you do not need lots of clients. Actually, in fact, if you have 2 or 3 or 4 clients, most of you will already be fully booked. You do not need everyone to become your clients. And this is something that you really, really need to realize, that every single entrepreneur in the world and every single entrepreneur that I know, they failed more times than they succeeded to close the deals with the clients. And that is completely fine. Moreover, as I told you, this experience of failing to close deals with my clients gave me tremendous amount of insights and experience that I am using and that I am sharing with you, so you don't follow these mistakes. Okay guys, so let's move on and talk about 4 things which I have learned after failing to close deals with my clients. First thing that I learned is that you need to always ask for the next step. So basically, when we find our clients, especially as a virtual assistant or in many other businesses, we actually need to have a call with our potential clients first. And if we talk about virtual assistants, we usually have a discovery call, we usually have an interview where we actually present ourselves to the clients and also ask more questions about the client's business. We want to learn more about the client's needs and expectations, and then we also discuss our potential collaboration. It happens often that actually a virtual assistant presents themselves, shares the ideas, the client also shares about the business, and then the call just ends. So there is like no next step. I realize that a lot of people who are trying to become a virtual assistant, they are kind of afraid to ask for the next step. So sometimes during the discovery call, after your presentation is done, after you share with your clients your ideas, after you have a conversation about their business, the client will naturally ask, how much do you charge? How can we work together? But sometimes the client doesn't ask anything, and it also happened in my case. And sometimes many people, what they can do is that they just say, okay, thank you very much for the call, and there is no next step. So the client doesn't really understand what to do next, and you also didn't give a clue what to do next. So you always need to kind of have the next step. You need to ask your client, okay, so is there any way that we can collaborate with you? Or for example, you discuss the rates with your client. The client is asking you your rates, how much do you charge? And then the client will tell you, this is very common, the client will tell you, okay, thank you very much, I will get back to you. And then in this case, you need to say, okay, great, let me just send you the summary of our call via email and the main points of our call as well. I will wait for your reply, but can you please also let me know when will you get back to me with your answer? When should I expect your decision? So this question actually obliges the client to respond. Instead of just saying, okay, I will wait for your reply, the client might never reply, But if you ask, when can you reply back to me? And the client can say, okay, maybe I will let you know my decision by next Wednesday. Is it okay? And then you actually have a clue already by what time, but by which day you will expect their response. And this is very important, again, because it obliges the client to respond to you. And also, if you didn't have any response by Wednesday, let's say, you can actually follow up with the client and say, for example, hi, Tanya, we had a call last week. I'm really looking forward to your reply. Could you please update me on your decision? So don't forget to follow up. And the follow-up is really, really important. So always ask for the next step and always guide the client. What is the next step? Let's say if your client is keen to work with you and during the discovery calls, the client is like, okay, that sounds interesting. So let's work together. Then you also need to give them the next step. What is the next step? You can say, okay, I will just send you the summary of this call. And since we already agreed on the terms and conditions of this partnership, I will just send you the contract. And you will need to sign the contract. Please read the contract first. Let me know if you have any questions. And after the contract is signed, I am actually ready to start working. So there must be always the next step. You cannot just have a call just for the sake of the call. There always must be a next step. So this is a crucial lesson that I have learned from failing to close my deals. And the second thing that I have learned from failing to close the deals with my clients is that rejection now does not mean rejection later. And in fact, guys, I'm sure so many of you and so many people are afraid of rejections, especially when we are starting out. It is something that really sometimes holds us back from even messaging the clients in the first place. But again, similar to failure, it is just overthinking, and it is actually a part of business. You will get more rejections than yeses. This is actually the rule, and you will get more failures than you succeed to close deals. So, and it doesn't mean that you will not become successful. This is actually the prerequisite of being successful. This is a must for being successful. And actually, the mistakes that many people make when they receive a rejection, for example, if you have a call with your potential client, a discovery call as a virtual assistant, you explain about yourself, you explain your ideas, you speak about the client's business, but then the client just rejects and just says, sorry, I don't think that this is a right time for us to collaborate. And let's say the client is sending you the email and the client is saying, sorry, but I have decided not to proceed with hiring you. And sometimes it is so heartbreaking for people, especially those people who are just starting out, to hear that. But guys, the more rejections you receive, the more you will realize that it has nothing to do with you personally. Maybe it's just not the right time for the client. Maybe there is just some consequences that do not allow you to work together right now. But it doesn't mean that you will not work together in the future. So a lot of people actually make this mistake that they are so shocked to hear the rejection, then they just disappear and they do not even respond back to the rejection. So it is really, really important to respond even to the rejection, because rejection now does not mean the rejection later. So you can say, Thank you very much, Tanya, for informing me about your decision. As much as I am sad to hear about this, I really hope that there will be a right time for us to work together. I want to let you know that I always remain open for working with you. So if you ever need any help, I am just one email away and I am ready to start working and assisting your business anytime. So you kind of like end this conversation on a very positive note. I cannot emphasize enough how many people who rejected me initially, they actually came back to me after a few months, let's say, and they said, Tanya, by the way, I think right now I'm interested to work with you. Can we work together? So always remember that rejection now does not mean a rejection later. And do not be afraid of rejection, because it's a natural part of any business and it's a natural part of any virtual assistant journey. Okay, guys, so the lesson number 3 that I have learned while failing to close the deals is always focus on bringing value. And you know my mantra, right? You can get anything that you want in life if you help enough people to get what they want first. I really believe in bringing value first. And I think that this mindset has completely changed my life, because I always genuinely focus on how can I bring value to my potential clients. But unfortunately, when I started my business, when I was doing my first calls, my first discovery calls, I was very concerned with how can I actually present myself and promote myself. So I was kind of like giving the clients the sales pitch, hard selling myself, like more like saying, hire me, this is what I can do, instead of focusing on their business and giving them personalized advice about how can I actually help them. So how to bring value to clients? I always say that bringing value to clients means giving them ideas about their business. And I can assure you guys that most of the virtual assistants do not do that. They try to sell themselves instead. So being personalized, researching your potential client's business and giving them ideas will really set you apart from so many other people, you know? So always before the discovery call, before the interview, or even before reaching out to your potential client for the first time, please research about their business. It doesn't have to take long. It can be done in just 5 or 10 minutes. You can just check their Instagram. You can just check their website. You can just learn about what do they sell, how do they sell it, do they have a proper social media presence. And I don't only tell you about Instagram. There is also LinkedIn. There is also YouTube. Do they have presence on these channels? Do they have a proper website? Do they have a newsletter? What kind of service or product do they sell? You can even research some of their competitors to get some ideas about what you can actually offer to them. For example, you are reaching out to a coach and the coach has, 8,000 followers, and then the coach is not active on YouTube as well. So mostly the presence is only on Instagram. So you can actually go and check other coaches out there who have 200,000 followers, and you can actually get some ideas. What kind of content they post, what kind of topics do they cover, do they have an email subscription, do they offer some different other services that this smaller coach doesn't offer, So, and you can actually gather these ideas and share it with your potential client during the discovery call or when you first message your potential client. So this is really crucial, and really focusing on bringing value first. Guys, I guarantee you will be very surprised with how much result you can get if you always focus not on how fast I can get clients, how fast I can get the money, but how I can actually help my potential clients. So this is really, really important. It will build the client's trust in you. It will really create great connection. The client will understand that you don't just care about how to get the money and get the job, but they will understand that you actually care for building a long-term relationships with them. And I can open a secret for you guys, or maybe it's not such a big secret, that every entrepreneur, they don't look for hiring cheaper virtual assistants. They are looking for hiring virtual assistants who they can trust and who actually can become a part of their team, not just a virtual assistant who will do A, B, C, D, and they want someone to brainstorm with, they want someone to share ideas with. So this is really an invaluable lesson that I also learned from failing to close the deals with the clients. Okay, so lesson number 4 that I have learned while failing to close the deals with clients is to always follow up. Let's say if you have had a discovery call as a virtual assistant with your potential client, and then you are waiting for their response to inform you about their decision whether to hire you or not. So you are waiting and waiting and waiting and nothing happens. So you kind of think for yourself like, okay, maybe they just don't want to work with me, so it's okay. I think that's a rejection. And actually, this is a mistake that so many people make, unfortunately. They actually fail to realize that entrepreneurs are so busy, guys. Entrepreneurs are super busy, and if you do not remind them, they will actually never respond, because they have so many things on their plates and so many people are waiting for them to respond, to message. And I can know also for myself as well, this is a problem. If you don't follow up, it is very hard for me to remember, So I cannot emphasize enough how many deals I closed because I have followed up. And sometimes it is not just once, So what a follow-up means? A follow-up is basically reminding the potential client about the fact that you are waiting for their response. For example, you can just drop them a very short email saying, "Hi, Tanya, we had a call last week and I just really look forward to your update, whether we are going to proceed with my engagement for your business as a virtual assistant. Can you please update me soon?" So this can be just the follow-up. So basically, you make yourself visible again and you remind the client, the potential client, about yourself. Usually, according to the business etiquette, you need to follow up around after 2 days if you didn't receive a response. For example, you sent an email to your client and then you didn't receive a response in 2 or 3 days, then you need to follow up again. Unless if during the discovery call you asked your client, right? Remember the previous steps that I have mentioned, always ask your client for the next step. So if during the discovery call you asked your client, when can you actually get back to me with your decision? And the client said, okay, I will get back to you next week, let's say in 4 days. This is okay. It means that you do not need to follow up until the day X. Okay, so if on the day X, the client doesn't get back to you, please follow up. Please remind about yourself. After your follow-up, the client doesn't respond again, don't give up. Actually, many books say that you need to follow up at least 7 times before you actually give up. But I think, in my opinion, 7 times is a little bit too many times. I usually stick with like 3 times. 2 or 3 times. You don't need to copy paste the same email. You can just rephrase it a bit. It can also stay short. "Hi, Tanya, can you please just let me know if you can update me by today?" This will be also enough for you. Make yourself visible and follow up. Unfortunately, failing to follow up costed me a lot of failed contracts. Okay, guys, so I hope you have enjoyed this episode. Please do not forget the very important lessons that I have learned after failing to close the contracts with my clients. The first one is always ask for the next step. The second one is that rejection now does not mean rejection later. The third thing that I learned is that you need to always focus on bringing value. And the number 4 thing that I have learned is that you need to always focus on following up if the client doesn't respond. So I hope that this was valuable and you are going to practice and implement these insights. And if you guys want to work remotely, if you want to have a flexibility, and if you want to have something that you love doing every single day completely remotely, join my free webinar where I explain about who are virtual assistants, what services you can provide as a virtual assistant, and 5 steps that you can take right now to start your remote career. We will put the link to join and register for my free webinar in the description for this video. So click the link right now and join my free webinar to kickstart your remote career journey. Thank you very much, guys, for this time. And I appreciate that you have watched this video till the end. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to my channel and like this video. Meanwhile, see you next time.